Now let's go through it forensically. We know David De Gea is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. If you have a back three consisting of a midfield player, Herrera, and Jones and Smalling. Jones and Smalling have been around each other for several years now. They've never really looked comfortable, but they're not good enough, John, are they?
No, well, I think they could be better, Eamon, depending on what you're doing.
They could be better if they could be better in a decent side, but if you don't have that right,
I think they could be better organised, Eamon. I mean, I think Jones and Smalling. Now, I might be wrong here. Were the midfield pair when Manchester United won the league under Ferguson?
The midfield pair?
No, sorry, the back four pair.
Yeah.
And in the Manchester United team, I think that won the Premiership a few years ago under Ferguson.
Right.
I can't see how they become all bad all of a sudden. I mean, you know, you'd have to put a lot of that down to the manager where he came into the club. When he came into, he's there over 2 years now. I mean, like if they were that bad, they should be out, and then there should be better players coming in. Now, as we know, he spent a lot of money on two or three central defenders. And none of them are any good.
No.
Now he's back last night with a different formation. Never mind a regular formation that after 2 years when you've been working on players, I mean, you know what they can do or what they can't do and what's the best team. You don't be making 6 changes from 1 week to the next. I mean, that's a basic thing now. Forget about Pogba and all the other people in it. But that's what I was disappointed about in Mourinho, because I think he's been a great coach. But whether his head's gone altogether, I don't know. Well, he's not behaving in a manner that you would expect from a responsible person at Manchester United. He's all over the place himself, and his team's all over the place. So he's hitting out at everybody. But certainly you can't go from 1 week to the next, Eamon. After 2 years in the job, where obviously the previous week you played what you consider to be a best team, it's very difficult to understand. I find that after the match last week, 6 changes, dramatic changes, Eamon.
Well, let me try and just rationalise it from his perspective.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you why. The World Cup and players coming back. Lingard, for example, may not have been ready the previous week. The same is actually true of Valencia, who has been injured. He would naturally come back. And in fact, Lindelof played in central defence. Jones wasn't available last week at Brighton, so there were reasons to think he might bring in players who he'd regard as first choice anyway. But the point of playing Herrera on the right side of a back three was really, really strange. Now, as you said, he's been a great coach, say over the last 20 years. Ferguson, Guardiola, obviously, and Mourinho. And he when he stormed out of the press conference post-match last night, he held up the 3 fingers and he said, I've won more titles than the other 19 coaches put together. The point about him is that he's not dumb, and he's always been a smart coach until, as happened at Chelsea, he falls out with people because of his temperament.
Well, he does fall out, you see. Like the last week or two, he's been Mr. Nicey to the players. This is the same players like Luke Shaw and various other, Smalling, Jones, that he's criticised publicly very, very badly. Now he's trying to be Mr. Nice Guy and get them back on side. Now it doesn't happen in football, as you know.
No, giving Pogba the captaincy, for example, seemed like a desperate gimmick.
Well, I think he was trying to make up to Pogba, Eamon, by giving him the captaincy. See, Mourinho has always worked, as all the great managers work, Eamon, be totally in charge of everybody. He's bigger than all the players put together and has to run the club. Now, over recent times, especially with his row with Pogba, he was being nice to Pogba, making the captain last. He was trying to make up to him. The last thing Pogba needs, or Manchester United need, is the manager to be making up to Pogba.
Yeah. I mean, in the case of Didier Deschamps, the French coach, who did in fact get the best out of Pogba and more than I thought was in there, in the World Cup. There's no way Deschamps goes out of his way to make up to anybody. He's the boss. There's no question about that. So let's go move it.
Sorry, before you go out of that, you see, the way Mourinho works, as we know, he humiliated Pogba last year.
Yeah.
He took him off against Spurs, left him out, brought him on, left him off. Now, that was his way, and I think it is his way of getting the best out of players. And it has worked in certain ways before, but generally speaking, I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Humiliate publicly. You have a go at him in the dressing room, do all the various things. That's how he never gets. When things go bad with Mourinho, they go very bad, Eamon, because he's humiliated players and he's done certain things that players don't forget and don't forgive. And fellow players of Pogba now, I'd say, might be quite popular, whether he is or he isn't with the players. And the way he treated Luke Shaw. Fellow players don't like that, Eamon.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. And that's the way he works. And when it goes wrong, it goes wrong. And that's what's happened to him, I think, at Manchester United.